Okay, welcome to the webinar on Virtualize and Integrate NOC and SOC, leveraging AIOps. Very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, in whichever part of the world you guys are logging in from. Welcome all. My name is Arun Kumar Anandan, and I head the infra practice for Trigent. I'll be the host today, and then along with other presenters, we will take you through this webinar. Thank you again for joining this webinar. Okay, a quick note to all the participants. You'll be on mute throughout the session, and the expected duration for the session is around 35 minutes, and we'll have a 10-minute Q&A, and so the total duration is around 45 minutes. Of course, we will have a Q&A at the end of the webinar. And having said that, feel free to put in your questions anytime, on the questions pane on the control panel. And yeah, we will keep reviewing that, and then we will certainly take those questions towards the end. Okay, great introductions first. So my name is Arun Kumar Anandan. I head the infra practice for Trigent. I also head the corporate IT for Trigent. And with me, we have Raghunath Tyagarajan from Trigent and Dinesh Balaraman from AutoIntelli. I would definitely love to introduce them. You guys, Raghu, you might want to introduce yourself, please.
Hi, good morning. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Raghunath Tyagarajan. I'm Director of Cybersecurity and Infra Service, and I come up with 20 plus years of experience, worked across HP and headed few IT companies as well. So here probably we'll take you through the NOC and SOC along with AIOps. Thanks, Arun.
Yeah, so hi everyone, this is Dinesh here. I am the co-founder and chief architect of the product called as AutoIntelli. It is an AIOps platform. We partner with Trigent in deploying our AIOps platform that is basically used for integrating SOC and NOC into a single collaborative tool called as AutoIntelli. So yeah, so this is about me. Let's start.
Thank you, Raghu. Thank you, Dinesh. Okay. So, so what we intend to cover during this webinar, one of the key focus area that we wanted to certainly cover as part of this webinar is to talk about the fact that IT operations certainly needs to adapt to the new normal, right? So that's how we've structured this whole webinar. So we will start off with challenges in IT operations and its impact of the pandemic on the digital infrastructure, and then we will also talk about what NOC and SOC is and its challenges, and then moving on, we will talk about the virtualized IT operation that's happening due to the pandemic, and then we will talk more about integrated NOC and SOC, how possibly we could integrate these through organizations. We will talk about that, and then we would certainly want to introduce our next generation command center, and then we will quickly move on to leveraging AIOps, how we have leveraged that for the next generation command center as well as for the new normal. Okay, quickly, Raghu, you want to introduce the Trigent?
Yeah, thanks, Arun. So here, I just wanted to give a small snapshot about Trigent. We are a 25-year-old company in the industry, and probably we have a complete end-to-end experience across all the technologies and all the verticals. We are around proven track record of 600 plus software products developed. We have 6 patents award, and we are one of the leading company in this clutch reviews. And we have a good amount of experience across transportation, healthcare, manufacturing companies. Our key strength is to support our DevOps and infrastructure offshoring for the North American market. And we are Microsoft and AWS gold partners, and pretty much we are a leading partner with most of the leading technology uh, tool companies. So that's what in short about Trigent uh, IT services. So here I would like to take you around the operational challenges which we currently face, and pretty much like we are facing a very different situation globally. So the first thing when the pandemic hit, uh, it probably like everybody cannot work from office. So the very primary department which gone into the immediate stresses the IT operational department. So they just wanted to arrange everything for the staff and the operations. And meanwhile, once that is arranged, then the entire the there was a complete lack of insight over how do we see the entire operations. In terms of, despite we have a lot of tools and everything, the people are started working from home. And how do I know what type of traffic which is coming in? What all the genuine traffic? What is the complete capacity of the VPN? And which is absolutely unplanned. So during these situations, there is unknown events and incidents which is happening. There's too many false positives, and pretty much we are unable to recognize what is right and what is wrong. So this is where like the entire IOPS was helping us to understand how we can overcome these challenges. So the immediate impact of the pandemic is like the entire the workforce has become virtualized. So due to this, we were unable to predict the complete work conditions of the staff who is working from different zone and working from different equipment and different IP addresses, different connections and different tools. And at times during the production hours, they say like my VPN is not working, or they have to connect to the servers, or they all connect to the cloud. So probably like it was, and we cannot deny, and we have to open up few ports for them. So probably like it's completely, we all went beyond the standards and we did everything beyond the control, and we accepted the situation and we started working towards it. So it's a complete fluctuation towards the entire global remote support or the remote development teams which we undergone. And we were I was part of the team, and we were literally unable to identify the what traffic is there, what type of pattern is coming. And there are few live traffics which we were seeing is there, and we see there were around 30 to 35 percentage of unknown traffics which was coming in, and there was huge amount of threat of vulnerabilities and hacking kind of things. So this was a big setback for all the operational people. How do we are going to come up in a secured manner? How I'm going to safeguard my staff accessing the data and the data center and the equipments connected to the relevant data centers. So, and this was like when we started the entire customer were accepting, okay, you're working from home, that's fine, and we understand the situation. But after 3 months, it was really different. Like the customer were like, okay, no, you have to be secured, you should have a VPN. I don't want any sound coming from your environment, so the production has to be in time. So slowly, like they were not accepting the situation which is there, and we are used to it, and we have to go along and to do our production. So this is the current situation of pandemic, and which we have accepted and we have evolved, and let's see how IOPS will help overcome this.
Okay, thank you, Raghu, for taking us through the impact, the pandemic and the challenges. So we have seen the IT operation challenges, right, and the impact on it. So let's understand more deeper into what IT infrastructure operations is all about and what are we talking about here, right? IT infrastructure operations in most of the organization comprises of NOC and SOC, what we typically call as Network Operations Center and Security Operations Center, right? So they're kind of ideally both the two pillars of IT operations, right? They're pretty critical in most of the organizations, and so both the teams continuously monitor logs and events from different tools to ensure that the network stays up and running and remains protected against cybersecurity attacks. Right? So typically, NOC team solves issues about infrastructure performance, availability, and SOC typically receives issues about information security threats. Right? So NOC continuously monitors outages and outages and faults and critical events and vulnerabilities within the network, and they're more focused on connectivity, uptime, network failures, and configurations and changes to environments due to incidents and security events. So SOC typically is all about security incident response team. Now it's called as a security response center also, and then in most of the next generation SOC, it is also called as a cyber SOC, right? So SOC's primary responsibility is more about cyber intelligence collections, analysis, threat assessment, incident analysis, response, and coordinations. And they also work more on the malware and malware reverse engineering and stuff like that. So it's primarily driven by security alerts, incident responses, analysis of cyber attacks, right? And some of the next gen SOC is also mainly involved into user behavior analytics and all that, and so they're trying to get into the mind of an attacker in terms of understanding the pattern of attacks and then trying to find what the root cause of the problem and then trying to fix it. So we've looked at what NOC and SOC is, right? So let's look at how this is set up traditionally in organizations today. The current model of IT operations in most of the organization is, pretty much siloed, and NOC and SOC typically works completely independently, right? So each team runs their own incident response, event monitoring, correlation, their own ticketing system. They generate, escalate trouble tickets. They have their own processes. They have their own workflows. Communication strategies is completely different between these two organizations. So they typically have their own NOC and SOC level 1s and level 2s and level 3s as well. So the level 1 typically is a frontline defense kind of, for both NOC and SOC, and the level 2 and level 3 are primarily the SMEs or subject matter experts who are skilled enough to triage those security events at the level 2 and level 3 areas, right? And then they completely NOC and SOC, integrate with the underlying infrastructure to manage that, right? So some of the key concerns of this type of traditional setup is, since they work in silos, there's a lot of lack of collaboration happening between these two teams, and there's lack of agility and interoperability. So which leads to kind of an inefficiencies and there's always a kind of limited visibility on the whole, when it comes to someone at the CIO levels or IT director or a head level who wants to have a view of the whole IT infrastructure operations, has kind of a less visibility in terms of what the security events are, what the network events are, incidents are, right? And this becomes a kind of a security concern also. So we certainly want to point out a recent SAN survey, that Security Operation Center survey, where 12% of the operations teams, organizations pointed out that they work together and they integrate technically also, and 21% said they work together only in emergency cases. So when there's an emergency, probably they work together, share information, collaborate, and then try to fix that. But alarmingly, 43% report absolutely no relationship between these two organizations. So which means, even if there is kind of an emergency and then the security team tries to fix that, and then if it is related to a network-related issue, they have to pull in the network team later on, and then it's obviously it's going to take more time. right? So 43% report no relationship, and 20% work together, but not technically integrated. So what that means again is of course they work together on emergency cases, or there is some sort of collaboration happening, but they are not integrated on the technical tools or the processes, or there is no big collaboration between the two teams at a different people level or a technology level, right? So managing and monitoring, and defending networks, the current scenarios, and with siloed network operations and security operations center is completely a challenge now. And this certainly leads to kind of a poorly managed infrastructure operations, is what a lot of organizations are talking about. Okay, a key change that happened because of all this impact and the new normal is a sudden shift to remote work. Caused by pandemic, and then just typically forced all the IT operations and DevOps pros and to quickly adjust to multiple ways, trying to maintain uptimes and stability of their critical infrastructure services. With the current world health crisis also forcing more organizations to enable remote employees to work from home or work remotely, and industry analysts are still forecasting that it's going to take more time for business to come back to on-prem environments to work. So this is certainly impacting IT operations staff as much as anyone else, probably even more so, given the fact that they're used to working in war room type situations where they quickly jump on to a big war room kind of situations, and then try to collaborate within them, and try to use tool sets, and then they have their own dashboard screens available on-prem, and then they quickly can look at that and then troubleshoot. And it's all about physically being present in on-prem environment, and then they in office, and then they try to work on it, right? So that is currently missing. But the expectations and the key focus, has been on the workforce, which is completely virtualized. What that means is it's just not about IT operations, which is virtualized, but even including the users and the end users, everyone is virtualized now. And in terms of visibility, the IT operations still needs to have that kind of a visibility. NOC still needs to have that system-wide visibility so that they can continue to understand where and how failures are happening, where the issues are coming in, and because the traffic patterns have changed, as we have seen, and all the challenges that Prabhu pointed out. So there's a lot of things, and there's again the system-wide visibility has to be maintained, is what is a key focus area right now. And obviously the productivity and the performance has to be upbeat now, and it is even more required that with the virtualized IT operations, the productivity and the performance has to be still maintained, or probably even more better than what they had before while working from office. And obviously this calls for, again, a better communication because the teams are working remotely. So it certainly calls for a better communication, and when the incident happens or a cybersecurity threat is coming in, so the IT staff responds to notifications, and they follow up on messages. The stakeholders need to be informed. So when the problem is resolved, the incident has to be closed, the recovery notifications to be distributed. So all these processes has to be really strengthened, and this is even more required in the current virtual environment situations, right? And that again relates to better or improved incident management also. When an incident is triggered and the NOC employee is available to handle it, because there's no big issue around it. But what happens if the person is available? So we don't know with the workforce remotely working, so we don't know exactly who's going to be working, who's going to pick up the tickets. Of course, we have the process in place, but we are not exactly sure whether he's there to log in and then pick up those tickets, right? Since they're working from home. So the risk of the ticket sitting in limbo or is greatly increased without some type of an automated strategy in place, right? Which again points to the fact that a lot of organizations are now looking at enabling self-service the end user support, right? So they wanted to enable some sort of a self-service so that we can pretty much reduce the noise around a few of the monotonous or few of the repetitive incidents or service requests that's coming. this is where automation plays a very key role, and a lot of organizations are now looking at automating most of these tasks, and in terms of like something like password resets and some sort of giving access permissions to some users where the approvals could be sorted out quickly from the managers, and some sort of an automations is what most of the organizations are looking at. And so this is exactly what most of the organizations are looking at in terms of strengthening the virtual IT operations. And this is something that VCC as a solution we will be talking about in a minute, but has strengthened and has been very successful in terms of achieving that. Okay, another major step forward, how you go about bringing these two teams together, in terms of, we've seen how NOC and SOC works in a traditional way, but how do you think we could probably bring this team together? And that depends on the level of success, basically, right? On a very high level, the end goal for both NOC and security operations is all about business and service assurance, right? Everyone would agree that. So for integrations, it is important to look at similarities and differences of NOC and SOC. Similarities could possibly include, monitoring events or escalating issues, providing triage on incident, and communications or collaborations between the teams. This is more important since both the teams monitor events coming in from various dashboards and sensors, and throughout the infrastructure, and utilizing similar tools to maintain vigilance of the enterprise network, right? So in a sense, integration or convergence can possibly happen at 3 levels is what we think, right? So mainly at the organization level, which is kind of a common first level response, which includes triaging, collaborating, and cross-relating, and identify common patterns from the respective tools that they use, and combating the tier 1 and SOC and the NOC analyst positions would result in kind of forming a new unified set of defenders, right? So we are more looking at integrating the level 1 of NOC and level 1 of the SOC teams together. At the system level, the integrations happens pretty much at the ticketing layer and the workflows and the communication strategies and the processes. So service level agreements, standard operating procedures, integrating processes, structures in place would possibly allow the operators to communicate and coordinate seamlessly, right? So that could possibly happen at the system level, and not the least, the asset level, right? So which is more about shared sensors and even critical information. So this is all about utilizing a common information aggregator that collects data required and then distributes it to integrated tools and dashboards. So we're looking at using some common dashboards and including some automation tools where you could do some orchestrations around it and then bring up interactive dashboards. So that could also be kind of a critical thing on the asset level, right? So in a nutshell, so adoption of integrations, as an industry best practice, can certainly capitalize on kind of a combined data, combined orchestrated data, improved communication, increased visibility, and situational awareness, right? And it is even more important because there's a lot of reduction in terms of the teams also, and then the optimization of the resources in terms of sharing and bringing in more efficiency would definitely be achieved. Okay, great. So a properly integrated NOC and SOC, can otherwise be just called as, typically a lot of organizations call it as integrated operations center or OC and all that. So so let's introduce Trigent's next generation virtual command center, which is completely virtualized and integrated NOC and SOC. So we have ultimately integrated both the teams. The first layer, first tier, which means it's NOC level 1 and NOC level 2 is completely integrated in this model, and due to the similarities and cross trainings. So we have rewritten all the SOPs, we have with the coordination points. We then moved on to the integration of the ticketing system. with a single dashboard and standardizing the shared and coordinated communications and the workflows. And finally, we can, what we could see is we have also taken advantage of converged incident analysis, right? The NOC level 2 and level 3 typically would remain the same because they are skilled SMEs, subject matter experts, and skilled resources, so they would still be remaining the same. But there are, because of the process and the workflows, they can still coordinate and collaborate with each other, and this gives a common incident analysis, a kind of a converged, outlook. Another key area that we brought in this whole model is what you could see is AIOps to add automation and orchestration, and this is a very important layer that we could add, and then that's brought in a lot of effort, a lot of success to a lot of our customers, and we will see more on that in the coming slides. So ultimately, what we're saying here is, we have delivered using next generation VCC in terms of going beyond the the IT silos, right? Typically, what a lot of organizations have, and we have been able to show and deliver improved network performance to our customers. We were able to increase the response time. We were also be able to show improved operational and cost efficiency to our customers. And this is something that, including all the tool sets, all the model, has been a very good success for VCC as a model. And then we have been delivering this for a lot of our customers. Okay, quickly. So how does AIOps help in next generation VCC? So we said, AIOps is the foundation for VCC. Of course, we were able to integrate most of the different layers, and in terms of ticketing system, in terms of technology, people as well. But bringing in AIOps on the top has tremendously increased the visibility of all the alerts, and it has also brought in a kind of an orderliness into your monitoring. Typically you see incidents coming in from all the places, and then you could see that all integrated together in an orchestrated manner. So it's also given us a kind of an interactive dashboard, which is very important for in the virtualized IT operations environment right now. And for VCC, which is again a virtualized command center, this is a very, very important outcome that we were leveraging AIOps for, and which is to provide data for everyone operating from anywhere, basically. So everyone could have a kind of an access to that interactive dashboards, and they could probably very quickly identify events and triage and resolve the cases. And another critical thing is in terms of monitoring your critical application outages, and identifying proactively pretty early on, and then also remediating automatically, which has been delivering uninterrupted customer experience, right? So we were able to do a lot of automations. We were able to monitor critical applications proactively using AIOps, and then that delivered success to a lot of our customers in terms of maintaining the uptime of these applications. And not least, again, with the minimum IT operational workforce, considering the pandemic situations these days, AIOps we were able to use AIOps to automate a lot of these tasks, streamline operations on workflows, communication strategies, and ultimately we were able to enhance productivity, right? So we will very quickly see a lot of things on AIOps now. When gone through all the the success on the model, we will very quickly move into the AIOps side. So we will now talk more about leveraging AIOps for virtual command center, and then we will quickly take you through that. I'll let Dinesh talk about it. Dinesh, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Arun. Thanks for the intro. Yeah, so AIOps is what AutoIntList product is all about, which is for managing your day-to-day IT operations by enabling machine learning as well as automations in place. So we have collaboratively have implemented for one of the financial sector client, where today they run the entire system by our platform through automation, basically through the digital workforce, where they have replaced the entire night shift engineers with our digital agents, which were able to accomplish their day-to-day task today by automatically through our bots. So this is our journey. We started in 2018, and then we took around 1.5 years of time to get this product done. So we have two modules basically. We are the winner of BizLabs 2019 FinTech Award conducted by Aditya Birla Group, and our achievements are we have successfully deployed for three of the major enterprise clients where they have more than 5,000 plus servers on a total volume where we have deployed our platform, and also other things are here which are some of the ongoings. So getting into the IT operations, basically, as Arun told, when we try to integrate the NOC and SOC team, so there will be various categories of your ITAL framework that would come into picture. It starts from your incident management, service request management, problem management, change management, etc. So out of these, there are a few things which contribute to high volume of ticket. Some of them are incident management and service request management. So we have to these two things which could actually have a good impact on the cost that is utilized for operations, basically the IT operation cost, as well the bringing in the ROI, where you can make sure today's effort that has been put by your engineer, the support staff, can be completely accomplished by the automation. So that would be our ROI that has been spent on the product, as well as the reduction and the overall operation cost that has been spent today. Where basically the objective is to upscale the engineer from level 1 to level 2, or from level 2 to level 3, and the mundane task, whatever is available, could be completely done by the automation platform, where really an action to be taken on, or a skill is required in order to troubleshoot the entire issue, where their workforce would be really involved in order to solve the issue. So getting into some of the features that we have as a part of our platform are workflow orchestration. So let me make it clear. So we have two modules. One is workflow orchestration layer, which takes care of the service request management, and also event driven automation, which completely take care of the incident management. So workflow orchestration is the one which basically is used for automating all type of mundane tasks. Today, when we talk about the day-to-day task that is being executed based on the standard operating procedure, basically the same procedure is being continued on day on a routine basis. So those all can become completely converted on automation. That is a huge opportunity that we see here. So some of the pretty good examples are from a simple to reset a password or unlock an account, to complex scenarios like doing a hardening of a router, or firewall, or enabling some policies, removing duplicate policies in firewall, enabling a compliance check for your Linux and Windows system. So these are some of the routine tasks that has a huge opportunity for automation. And event driven automation, which takes care of completely on the event front, where you have the system running, and in order to maintain the SLA by 99.99, we could monitor the system completely, the infrastructure completely, from your hypervisor layer to the application layer. So in such monitoring, if there are anything that crosses threshold, that will push the alerts into our platform. So what our platform does is it is a mimic of what your support engineers does today. So what a support engineer would do when we get an alert, you would look at the alert, you would observe what has caused, what component has got affected, you would log into the system, create a ticket in your IDSM platform, log into the target system, try to fix the issue. Before fixing, you would diagnose the issue, find out what is the best command that could solve this issue, and then you would go and close the ticket. So this is the complete life cycle, how a support engineer would practice or try to do in order to resolve the issue. So these are completely replicated by the digital workforce. What our virtual agent would do is it takes care of the complete journey what a human would do, from creation of ticket to updating the ticket to communicating with the target for resolving the issue to closing the closure of the ticket. So these complete things would be taken care by the automation engine. So this is how we enable the service request end to end as well as the incident management end to end. So some of them like self-service automation, resource provisioning are some of the extended opportunity of workflow orchestration. So today we have orchestration layer. It is a pretty web-based orchestration platform where you just go and drag and drop, create your own workflows, deploy them, and execute them. Where those can be extended for a self-service automation. One example would be, say for example, these command center VCC is used by your NOC and SOC team, and you want to expose a particular workflow which can download, say for example, a report for a customer, but a customer would not be part of your NOC and SOC team. But these capabilities has to be extended to them. Definitely, we can do through self-service system. Or you want the customer want to reset his password, like maybe a CRM password or any of the business application password, which is part of your business. And if you want to enable that through our system, we can extend to a self-service automation. So those are some of the extended opportunity that we see. Resource provisioning, this is more of infrastructure as a service. So what is the benefit of orchestration is it supports multiple languages like Shell, PowerShell, Python, and also so multiple technologies can be involved or joined together or stitched together to create a single workflow. So what happens is not only at a management phase or an IT operation phase, you could automate the things. Also, you can extend it to cloud-based systems. So infrastructure as a code, or you want to enable it for DevOps lifecycle like CI/CD process to be enabled. So those all can be achievable through our workflow orchestration. So since we enable multi-language and support of multiple technology within a single processes, we can have any complex workflows created. So all these are achievable only when there is a strong password vault in place. The password vault contain, so basically we call it as a SDDM, host device and dependency manager, where we have the CA details and the password details. So that with these informations, our intelligent automation engine would be able to communicate with the target system. So talking about the integration, so since we talk about the password vault, there are three types of integration which basically we talk about. One, monitoring tool integration, where we can integrate with multiple monitoring tools and we have a single console for managing your complete infrastructure. The other integration is ITSM system, where our engine would create ticket, update ticket, and take the complete life cycle from creation of the ticket to closure of the ticket. It will be taken care. And third integration would be we can either use password vault, which is part of our service offerings, or we can use a PAM solutions with which we can integrate also. So basically, we are trying to enable a 360-degree integration so that we can enable an inbound as well as outbound and make sure the complete system is tightly coupled and will be able to communicate with each other easily. So these are on a technical front, which talks about each with respect to each and every features you see in the previous slide. Getting into more technical, workflow designer is completely web-based. You can just open your browser and log in, create your own workflows by dragging and dropping them. With the minimal knowledge of the orchestration, you'll be able to create your own. REST API, throughout our platform, everything is exposed as an API so that there will be easily enabled integration that can happen. Self-service console, where once again it talks about an extended opportunity that we enable as a self-service console, with which a third-party person, apart from the NOC and SOC team engineers, would be able to communicate and make the things done. A pretty good example would be this self-service system can be displayed in a kiosk portal at your reception in your organization, and anyone just want to serve, whether they want to reset their password, they would have forgotten Monday morning their Active Directory password or unlock an account by putting a wrong password. So they can just come and look at the self-service portal, feeding some phone numbers, and then make the things done. So these are some of the use cases we can think about. So today, when the same thing happens in a BPO industry where they want to reset a password or unlock an account on a Monday morning, they go to IT engineers, stand with them. It takes at least half an hour to 1 hour of time for each person. What if there are 100 to 200 calls that happens on a Monday morning? It would be very pathetic. So these are all some of the use cases which we can think about. We can put all these thoughts and create our own workforce using our orchestration. So we have web-based administration control, which is we call it the RBAC, role-based access control, where you can completely manage the UI by enabling read-write permission for each and every user. So other important technical feature is Visa server. So these are basically enabled for hybrid environment. Say today everything is becoming hybrid, on on-prem mixed with cloud or private cloud with a public cloud. So it can be a combination of anything. But for us, for AutoIntly, it will be different availability zone. So what we can do is, in order to manage multiple availability zone on a central location, we can have AutoIntly instance, and on each availability zone, we can place a Visa server at the target. So these Visa server will be able to do an inbound and outbound communication with the target system. So it can help you in getting the events that has got created, as well as it could help you in executing the automation at the target and make the things done. So this is the technical architecture, how our orchestration would work. So as I initially told, the orchestration is completely for service request management. We have an event. We also have an event-driven automation, which is completely based for any type of events and alerts that come from monitoring tool. How to handle them completely is what the other engine is all about. So we have multiple users, end user, business user, as well as developer. They all can communicate and make the things done. So on an IT operation perspective, you can have any activities today performed manually can be automated. On a developer point of view, he can enable the CI/CD process. At an end user point of view, they can use a self-service automation portal, which would be an extended opportunity that can be provided by the orchestration layer. So this more talks about the event management. The event management, the source of the event management could be anything. End user, basically reactive incidents, maybe a password reset or unlock an account, alerts, ITSM tickets, REST calls. That is basically when we integrate with the third-party systems. Say for example, when we are if we are integrating with the Datadog or Splunk, we could use this REST API so that whenever there is an alert that has got created, it would automatically push to our platform. And also email. So having all this, our data receiver will push the data into a big data system. Then from there, the journey starts. Our engine would pick one of the issue, suppress them, correlate them. The correlation is basically it find out if there are any contacts between multiple alerts. So whenever we take one or more than one alerts, when we try to find the context between them, it could be definitely the application which it is holding to run. So one business application would have multiple components, that is your app layer, uh, elastic serial burst, and you can have a DB layer and NoSQL layer. Multiple layers could be there. So these complete business application topology is the one which can help our engine in order to find out what is the context between alerts. So when the context between the alerts are found, there will be a collaboration that can be created at your NOC and SOC team. So when there is a collaboration, definitely the issue can be handled effectively, efficiently, and also it can be resolved before even the end user experiences that there was an issue. So some of the samples that has been put, like password reset, out of memory, service down, CPU, memory issues, CI/CD pipelines, containerization issues. So there can be a lot of issues that can come in, which is a combination of your service request and your incident management. Those all can be handled through our engine. So these are some of the complements that can be done using our platform. So we can expand this to for a robotic process automation, where you can do a Selenium engine. With the help of Selenium engine, you will be able to do an RPA project. We can use it for DevOps CI/CD pipelines, and also we can integrate with the hybrid environment. That would be an inclusion of your multiple vendors like Azure, AWS, or even your VMware, which would be running at your on-prem. So Yeah, so definitely. So we would even like to give a complete demo. So feel free to contact us. Having the time in as a constraint, so we have took some of the screenshots. I'll just quickly go through them. So this is how our orchestration would look like. All we have to do is just do a drag and drop, design your own workflows, and deploy them. It's a very minimal knowledge on the orchestration is required. So today you have engineers at your command center. They definitely use some commands to resolve the issue. Those commands can be pushed here directly, and those can be tested. So this is how an event engine works. For incident management, you don't need to design any workflows. Things happens automatically. Your sensors triggers an alert. Our workflow would do suppression and correlation. It calls the right bot. That would be an action that gets executed at the target system. So talking about the orchestration layer, this is how the final workflow would look like once it is designed. All we have to do is just click on run. You'll get a form that has been designed. Just fill in the details and submit. It gets executed. So this is a sample form which we have given. All we have to do is just fill it them. So one place where we are unique from the orchestrations that are available in the market are every control in the form is an API call, so that we can bring in the complete inventory as a form data. So it will be very useful for them to select the option instead of typing them. This enables the sophistication for them to work on our platform, or you can say even if end user is trying to provision a resource at the cloud, you will find it very easy, because all we have to do is just put a name, select every option and submit, instead of typing them like what we have in the other market tools that are available as in the category of orchestration enablement. That is what which is available in the market. So we have enabled a special purposed form with which you can bring in the complete inventory into the system. So yeah, final thoughts. Automation is the so some of the key takeaways are automation plays a major role in automating. This can reduce the error, bring in the efficiency, upscale the engineers to next level, and make sure the mundane tasks are completely accomplished by the digital workforce. To achieve that, we take two modules. One is the incident management and service request management, because these contributes to around 80% of the total ticket volume of your ITSM system. So this can enable not only creating automations, this can also enable a method where all your knowledge base is centrally available in our platform. So you don't need to have the documents being shared from one engineer to another engineer, or the KD being given from one engineer to another. Instead, everything would be available as a part of our workflow, so that those can be maintained centralized in a central repository, and also those could be useful and they get executed multiple times by anyone in the organization. Yeah, so thanks for the opportunity. So I have done with the AIOps. Would like to hear any questions.
Okay, thanks, Dinesh, for all the inputs on AIOps. Okay, team, we are open to question and answers, but I'm afraid we are running out of time here. So I would certainly request guys to put in questions quickly. I'm not sure whether we could probably answer that now, but we will certainly get back to you on your emails being registered. We will certainly get back to you. We will keep the session open for another 5 minutes quickly, and then you can start pulling in your questions. Okay, we have already got few questions on the table. So, okay, we currently don't have NOC SOC implemented as a organization, as a team, although we have a medium-sized organization IT operations team. How do you think we can leverage your VCC solutions to bring in more efficiency? Yeah, we will certainly answer that.
Sure, definitely. So even if it is a medium-scaled organization, definitely there could be a lot of opportunities for enabling way where they can automate the mundane tasks. So Even if an organization has, say, for example, 100 servers, definitely they would come across some of the resources who would be involved in enabling some of the reports or health checks or the EOD, BOD process for the business. So those all can be completely converted to an automation using our orchestration. It doesn't definitely not a matter of how big the organization is. We can pick one of the modules from our platform, say an orchestration, and then that alone can be used for workflow creations as well.
Yeah, thanks, Dinesh. I think just to add to it, we can certainly integrate your IT operations per se, even if you don't have it as a NOC and SOC, which is what most of the medium-sized organizations do have. We could certainly integrate that with the VCC, which has all the, it's a complete integrated NOC and SOC anyway. So we could certainly integrate that, and then which has got the flavor of all this orchestration and automation already in place. So we can definitely do that. All we'll need is probably do a quick assessment of your existing IT operations, and then presumably if you have a existing monitoring tools or your SIM products, or we could certainly use that, or we could even integrate that with VCC and then start to use our own tool sets to do that. And AIOps anyway is going to be there on the top of the layer, so that's going to definitely give you that efficiency around it. Okay, great. A few more questions are coming in, but I think I'm afraid we are completely running out of time. So what we could possibly do is quickly, so we have all these questions coming in now, and then we will certainly review those questions and then respond to that, and then we will definitely send it out to your respective people who have raised that questions. Okay, thanks a lot for attending this webinar. Really appreciate your time and patience here, and hope you had a nice time. Hope you got something around what VCC is and what NOC SOC and what AIOps is all about. Feel free to get back to us, reach out to us anytime. We will definitely be able to help you out. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.